I was just reading through the comment section and I came across a comment that really hit me where the sun doesn't shine. And the reason it hit me was because when I look at ordinary people, when I look at poor people, when I look at people that I know don't have much when it comes to relationships, capital, or even a whole lot of food. If you were to take a look in my refrigerator right now, there's some water, and that's about it. There's nothing in there. And I was driving home from the doctor's office and I thought about stopping at Kroger's and wasting more money on something that I didn't want. And that's what I feel life is. It's a joke. The hope that we're supposed to have for a better tomorrow isn't there. The hope that we used to hold on to died, I'm going to say, around the time of the pandemic. The pandemic, despite not wanting to believe this, America is still reeling from it. Everything changed. We were locked in our homes. We couldn't go out to our normal places. I remember going to the park and seeing the caution tape all around the playground. And I thought to myself, is this for real? And then as the lifted the lockdowns and we got to go back outside and go to more places other than the grocery store, it became painfully aware that we'd just gone through something. Like during that time, because the gyms were closed, my whole body changed. I remember going to the doctor and telling the doctor, it's like, what's going on? Why do I have all this swelling in my legs? And then the doctor just looked at me and it's like, you're not doing anything. You're sitting at your chair all day long, not doing anything. And so our bodies and our minds changed. And I think that during that time, I think that we learned that in certain situations there is no hope. And I think right now, most of America, the 99%, realizes there's very little hope in the world for change because change isn't profitable. So let me read you guys my introductory monologue really quick. Advertisements for self help books and social media influencers sell a version of hope that is shallow and transactional. They promise happiness through consumption. Buy this and you'll feel better. Real hope isn't tied to consumption, it's found in connections, purpose, and acts of solidarity that can't be monetized. Now, most of those things are unachievable by poor people. Most of us don't have connections to anything. We don't feel connected to our employment. In fact, this morning while I was tossing and turning after about 4 o'clock in the morning, I thought to myself that the more disconnected you come from work, the harder it is to go back. Because at some point, at least for me, the disconnect didn't happen until about 6 weeks ago, where I was shaking in fear of losing my crap job. But suddenly, I didn't, I wasn't connected to anything. Like I stopped caring. And when most workers, I mean, you're talking about 85% of workers show up and they don't care about Evil Care's profits. They don't care about anything that they do during the day. There's nothing in the heart of the proletariat. Work has just become this thing that we have to do in order to eat. Beyond that, no one shows up at work with purpose anymore. And if you do, you're a fool because at any moment you could be let go. And this is what I've noticed throughout my entire working career is even the people that seem like they're the most dedicated workers on the floor can someday you'll just look over at them and see them putting their things into the white box because they decided to get rid of them. For whatever reason, they weren't working out or they needed to cut costs. When it comes to cutting costs, people are the first commodity to be chopped off from any corporation because that's where the waste comes from. Why pay Johnny and Susie Rottencrotch more money when they could make the other Susie Rottencrotch just work harder? That's what's happened at my job. They've lost 3 people in the tech department, and do you think they replaced any of those people? They have not. Will they replace those people with competent people? Most likely not. What that does to the rest of the people working there is it deludes the hope that they had at some point. Because a person without hope is a person that doesn't care. And when you don't care about your life, you don't care about your neighbor's life, you don't care about anything, what's left for the corporations to exploit from humans? Once they've been demoralized to the point where you don't even feel human. That's something like John left a comment this morning about how the world feels different, how life used to feel more comfortable. I don't ever remember a time in which I was constantly creating content around the way that I feel to let other people know that we can't let our lives go on like this. That feeling bad and having hopelessness in the workplace, at home, while you sleep, this isn't normal. We're not in the, what was that place called in Vietnam? The Hanoi Hilton here. We're not, we're not being beaten to a pulp every day physically. But I'll tell you, emotionally, we're all in that hotel. Day in and day out, our souls are being crushed and our emotions are going dead. Like I feel empty inside in a way that I'm having a hard time quantifying my feelings because I don't understand how we're still alive. Because once you hollowed out the human race for profit, what's left? You're mindless robots that show up every day, that act like NPCs, and talk to each other as if the other people don't exist. I mean, I just went to the doctor's office, I signed in, got my uh, peed in a cup, got my blood work done, and then I walked out without really having an interaction. And I knew that I didn't want that interaction because I knew it would be shallow and uninteresting. That's our relationships with our lives. Our daily lives are shallow and uninteresting, which means that tomorrow is going to be the same way, which robs you of hope. There is no hope to getting rich. If robbing a man's hope for gaining wealth is all that you can take from them by telling them they're just not going to have it, you're you are going to spend the rest of your life poor. There's no way that you can maneuver this world the way that it is in order to not end up at the same outcome. Because remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different outcome. The proletariat's been doing the same thing now for since the human race was domesticated for large corporations. You're supposed to have no hope. You're supposed to feel hopeless. You're supposed to feel empty inside, and your connections with other people are very shallow to the point where you don't feel anything anything good. At least when I wake up in the morning, and I've said this so many times, it's like, oh man, this is what I say to myself every morning. Not this again. And you're just like, oh my God. You put on your work uniform, you go to work, and you come home, you get blasted on whatever your substance is, and you wake up and you say, not this again. I mean, I just had to check my bank account to see if I could actually afford to eat today, and I was just like, it's payday tomorrow, but I think it's going to be a very empty day. If you get, if you get what I mean by that, and it's just like, uh, you don't feel anything good. Even when you eat, it tastes like gym mats. The lack of taste and the lack of enjoyment of anything that we get to eat as poor people is even more depressing than losing the money that we spend in order to buy those things. But with that said, let's get into our script, which again, I had to scroll further down into it because it was the same paragraph from this morning, even though I put in a completely different uh, information. I took a comment, I put the comment into Chat GPT, and let me just read a little bit of the comment so you guys can know how it generated this. Being human means yearning for more than substance. As much as food or shelter, we require hope. Hope is a tough thing to come by these days. Even corporate America can't figure out how to sell us some at a profit or even at a loss. That's what that comment said. So ChatGPT prompted or created this. People tell you to have hope, right? Like it's something you can grab off a shelf. But what if I told you hope isn't sold here? Not in this system, not in a capitalism. It's not because it's priceless, it's because it's unprofitable. See, we found a way to sell you everything else clothes to make you look successful, apps to make you feel connected, and even therapy subscriptions to fix the parts of you they've broken. But hope, nah, they can't package that. And they know it. The parts of you they've broken. Now that, if you don't think this is a dystopian channel, oh my God, to fix the parts of you that are broken. Well, let's pull out a laundry list of the parts of me that are broken. My legs are constantly tired from doing cardio. My muscles are constantly sore from lifting weights. I need an extension for the old equipment down there. No matter how much I work out, I still feel like I'm not working out enough. My brain has been broken since I can possibly remember, and going to therapy is a joke. Having someone with a privileged background, someone with a PhD in psychology tell you you just need to think positively and your life will change isn't going to change anything. Putting you on medication that requires your brain to shift into a different pattern of thought, right? That's what medication does. It sedates you in order for you to feel better artificially, kind of like what alcohol does to me for a few hours every single night. It's you just, they want everyone to be on happy pills because that's the only way you're going to have hope in a brighter future. Because I haven't spent my entire life as a single man because I had a whole lot of hope in this world. I've spent my life miserable and alone because there is no hope. And believing that I'm not completely broken is laughable because we're all broken. Because if we were all well, imagine this, just stop and think about this. If we were all well, and I'm talking mentally well, would we allow ourselves to live in a society that steals your hope? That makes certain that if you're not broken, start working. You'll get broken really fast. Because the whole point of work is to break you with monotonous tasks, break you with sadistic management, break you with tiny paychecks. Everything about the workplace is disgusting. And we should acknowledge the fact that we live in a world in which we have a toxic relationship with our own lives. That's what we have to acknowledge so that we can move forward. Because if you don't think that you're broken, then there's something obviously broken with you, or you're rich and you don't have to think about these things. You just go through life imagining that everyone else lives like you. And even rich people have problems. Like I was watching something yesterday and it just went on to say that we just need more substance and hookers in the world to be happy. And I thought, well, that's one way of looking at it. Moving on, here's the truth. Hope is dangerous. It makes people dream too big. It makes them question why they're stuck. It makes people realize that substance, just food, shelter, and Wi Fi, will never be enough, and that's bad for business. You know what they sell instead of hope? Distraction, fear, a little dopamine hit to keep you scrolling, spending and staying in your place. This is what I say about doom scrolling, right? I see young people all the time endlessly scrolling through their phones. Like yesterday, I saw one of the girls that works across from me, really cute Hispanic girl, and I asked her what her favorite thing was to do at work, and she said just scroll through TikTok and look at what you call makeup tutorials. That's all she needs to be happy. And I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, If it really comes down to it, this is all people need. Is they just need distraction. Remember, circus and bread. And when it comes to our society, there's no end in sight for advertisements paired with with how do I put this? Like when you look at a Nike commercial, right? You watch it and there's like a really attractive fit person in the ad, and they have the Nike logo there, and you think, well, if I just buy more Nike, maybe I will be just as happy as that person. Or the same thing with the Coca-Cola ad. You look at, none of the people in the ad are ever diabetic or overweight or look depressed. Go look at yourself in the mirror and then watch a Coca-Cola ad and think to yourself, wait a minute, why do I look like this and the people in that ad look like that? It must be that product that makes them look like that, because me, look at me. Look at yourself in the mirror. The bags under your eyes, the premature wrinkles around your eyes, your hair's falling out, you're overweight, you're unattractive, you're disgusting to look at. And then we turn on the internet and we start scrolling, and all we see is beautiful things. We see beautiful people and cars and homes and people on vacation, people living their best life. And then go back and look at yourself in the mirror. Oh my God, don't do that anymore. You might go blind looking at how horrible you look. That's how I feel every morning. I brush my teeth with my eyes closed. I don't comb my hair. I do everything I can so I don't have to look at myself in the mirror, because let's face it, the proletariat's depressing. It's dirty, it's disgusting, it's the opposite of everything that we want in life is represented by other people like us. That's why advertising is so good at giving us hope. In movies, you live vicariously through the main characters' crushes and getting it on from watching The Hub with beautiful women. And then you're sitting there, smacking the old governor, and the governor's like, millennial statement, it would be nice if one day we could see a naked Susie Rottencrotch. But no, that's never going to happen. You know why? Because you're disgusting. That's why. And having hope in a disgusting world is truly an evil thing. All right, so sorry guys, that was a bit dark there, but you know me. You come here for the dark. That's funny. You know what they sell instead of hope? Oh, I already read that part. Okay, I've spent my whole life poor. I know what it's like to hope for something better. I know what it feels like to have that hope crushed because rent's due, the lights are about to go out, and you're wondering if you'll even have groceries this week. Jeez, ChatGPT really has my number. But I'm starting to think maybe they can't sell hope because they don't know what it looks like anymore. Do you? I don't. Maybe hope looks like what you look like when you wake up in the morning, all disheveled, vision all blurry, eyes looking red from not getting enough sleep or getting too much of the old sauce in you. I don't know what hope looks like. We've lived in such a hopeless society that if hope walked up to me and bent me over, I'd be like, "What's going on back there? What's happening to me? Is hope getting inside of me?" Because I don't know what this feels like anymore. Despair is all we feel. The opposite of hope. We feel despair in the workplace. We feel despair in the gym. We feel despair in the grocery store. We feel despair in the church because Jesus isn't coming back to save us from this nightmarish hellhole created by corporations intentionally to make certain that people stay poor and keep spending. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. There is no hope. There is no escape. And if you believe that there is, let the rest of us know in the comment section what your plan is for escaping, because good old millennial steam here needs an escape plan from the hopeless nature of capitalism, because it's not working for me. And obviously it's not working for you, because if you're still watching this video at 20 minutes, you were expecting for me to draw you a map and show you exactly where the escape hatch is from this nightmarish dystopian world that isn't futuristic. It's right now. I'm not talking about future America. It's right now. Just go look outside. There's a homeless guy eating trash out of the dumpster behind my apartment right now.